Hi guys, I'm Shmi, and today is probably going to be one of the days of my life. I'm at Rosso Corsa, the Ferrari Centre in Milano, Italy, and behind me is the Enzo F50, F40 and 288 GTO. And I'm going to be able to take them out for a drive. A big thanks goes to my friend Greg, who's invited me for this pretty spectacular opportunity. We were out in Sardinia just 2 weeks ago, where I went out in the MC12, the sister car to the Enzo, and that was pretty mega. And we got talking about the Ferrari 5, so the 288 GTO coming forwards, the F40, F50 Enzo, and the LaFerrari. Now, I've been lucky enough to drive, I think, a pair of LaFerraris before now, but I've never driven any of these cars. So this is about to be absolutely mega, and just look at them lined up here. So I'll give you a bit of information about each car before we jump on board and take them out, but this is a very, very special, very, very rare lineup of the cars. And we've obviously featured or seen Greg's LaFerrari before now as well, but I mean, starting here, the 288, 274 of them from the 80s. We've got the F40, just over 1,100 of these made in the later 80s. The F50, 349 with the V12, both of those have the V8s. And then the Enzo, named after Enzo Ferrari himself. So 2 of the cars in Rosso Corsa, 2 of them in Giallo Modena. This is going to be incredible. Let's do this in order and get started with the Ferrari 288 GTO. So GTOs made between 1984 and 1987. 272 full road cars, 274 in total if you include the additional 2 prototypes, hence the number plate 288. 274 cars in total. Kind of cool little touch there. Originally, the 288 GTO was built for Group B. If you wanted to have a car in Group B, you had to build 200 homologated road cars. Now, as it happens, the car never actually made it to Group B because of an unfortunate fatal accident in 1986, which meant that the series was cancelled. So the road cars are built as road legal machines. The name 288 comes from the 2.8 litre V8, twin turbocharged. It's actually 2,855cc, which technically rounds up to 2.9 litre, but the 288 is the name given. Obviously based initially on the 308 and later the 328, but this thing really rather special given the limited numbers. So let's fire it up and get ready to go for a drive. And as you could tell, I'm rather excited. To start up the 288, key in, foot on the brake, turn the key, then press the button here. And we're into life. Now, some fun random little things. Ferrari speakers, but no hi-fi system. Unusual specification, because that does nothing. Has the air horn as well, which is quite funny, but let's go. This is definitely unusual then. First gear, dogleg gearbox, back towards you, and away we go, very slowly and carefully does it. This is obviously my first time driving a 288 GTO. Second gear is away from you and forwards, 5-speed gearbox. It's actually my first time driving any of these cars today, so I will be taking it super steady. That is a proper feel as you pull the gear stick back into place. Steering wheel's really, really small, but kind of a thin grip as well. This is really pretty special. I'm just taking it very easy, as you can probably tell by all of the cars that are actually going past me right now. But how often do you get to drive 288 GTO? First time, doing this, and they are so rare, and just got to be careful of everyone. The pedals are weirdly offset to the right. In fact, everything in here is quite small. It's a very cozy cabin. Got to give quite a good press on the brake pedal there to get it in, put it back to neutral. But that sort of clunk as you move through the gears is a really, really solid feel. Oh, this is so cool. Unfortunately, being Milan, this is a busy city, so we found a little bit of traffic, but driving this is just crazy. It's so mechanical. When you get the gear shifts, obviously it's a complete solid sort of action to make it happen. And then equally, the pedals have nothing or everything when you actually press them hard, and you can feel there's obviously a lot of turbo lag going on, but yeah, this is just seriously cool. A little bit more time behind the wheel and I'm slightly getting used to it. There's clearly a lot that is different about this than any of the cars in my garage, given that it's quite substantially older. But it's such a sort of raw and proper experience. It's so involving, and my concentration when I'm driving is just a different world compared to what I'm used to. I mean, Gearbox is all a little bit backwards to start. The throttle and the sort of pedal feel is all completely alien, and all a little bit fiddly and awkward as well. But there's something pretty marvellous about driving a Ferrari 288 GTO. GTO, Gran Turismo homologated version of the race car for the road. That's where the name was used, well, originally obviously on the 250 GTO and more recently on the 599 GTO. But yeah, not many more words. This is a pretty special way to start this afternoon. Bucket list item checked in the form of the 288 GTO, but now we're immediately going to move on to the Ferrari F40. So when Ferrari's Group B rallying intentions didn't come to fruition with the 288 because of the accident, they wanted to go out and build a proper supercar for the road around the time of their 40th anniversary. Hence we have the F40 from 1987 to 1992. So in total there were 1,311 F40s built. I think I said a slightly lower number earlier, so please excuse me for that. Again, it's based around the same engine, so 2.9 litre twin turbocharged V8. It's actually slightly larger, and in this case generating 478 brake horsepower. But this is probably the most iconic of these cars. I think everybody of my sort of generation had posters of the F40 on their walls when they were younger. Just look at the shape, that huge wide rear end, very low, that wing that's sculpted into the rear clamshell. It's just a spectacular design, instantly recognizable, and still to this day, very, very special. There are some fun things about this. For example, the paintwork is so thin that you can actually see the carbon weave through it. Now, it's virtually impossible to get that on camera, but when you're up close to the car, you can see the sort of weave shape of the carbon fiber panels underneath the paint there. And we've also got pop-up headlights. Well, even the 288 had pop-up headlights as well, but spectacular looking. Anyway, it's time now for number 2 today. Let's go for a drive in the Ferrari F40. To start the F40 then, same process. Key in the ignition, start button. Into life. Exactly the same setup really. 6-speed gated shifter. Sorry, 5-speed gated shifter, how dare I? Reverse, obviously. This is it then. This is the Ferrari F40. The poster car. Well, they're all poster cars, aren't they? Of slightly different generations, but this one is really, well, how can I say which is more special? I don't even know, but it feels slightly easier to pull away initially. Definitely feels like a big bit of a beast. Gently does it. I'm sat inside, carbon, carbon and more carbon. No sound deadening, nothing, just the carbon tub, and immediately it feels a little bit easier actually to sort of start moving and drive and pull away, which is nice. So I feel a little bit more at home. Maybe that's just because I'm familiar from the previous car. but it was so big. Seeing the arches in the mirrors, this thing is huge and completely filling the lane. But this feels good. This is the F40. You look around you and it's just huge. You look backwards, you've got the plexiglass rear window with a huge strut bar going across your view through those slats. Steering and general sort of feel, I guess, holding it is very similar to the 288, but more together. Just a little bit all round more together, but is this really happening? Am I driving an F40 straight after jumping out of a 288 GTO? Oh boy. Okay. This is just amazing. This is just taking it easy. I think I need one massive pinch to realise that this is actually real. It hasn't quite hit me yet. So a massive thanks has to go to Greg for making this possible, and his Instagram link is down below, and I thoroughly recommend you check it out because he posts some pretty cool stuff with all of his amazing cars, including this lineup. But what a day, and this is only the second of the 4. I can truly see why people love the F40, because driving this is a mesmerizing experience. It's so engaging, and so you're just part of the whole thing, and the car, knowing everything about what it is. And it's, I mean, when you drive it hard, obviously a little bit more aggressively than I'm doing right now, you'd be getting pops and bangs and crackles like crazy from the exhaust system, and just taking it so easy. And even doing this, it's so rewarding and such an exciting thing to be driving. Yes, the concentration levels are high. I think they always have to be in these kind of cars, but the feel of slotting the shifter in, and then when you put your foot down, the turbos, the way they sort of spool up behind you and get ready to unleash the fury. Goodness me. This is surreal. What a drive. That was the F40. I've never driven the Ferrari F40, and now I'm going to be driving the Ferrari F50. Now, for a little bit of a secret, I've always had a massive soft spot for the F50. I think this was probably slightly more me than the F40. I loved it when it came out. There are only 349 of them, so pretty rare when you compare it to the 1300 F40s. And you look at it, it's just a sort of updated, slightly more rounded version. It also has a V12, a 4.7 litre V12, which is a development of Ferrari's 1990 3.5 litre V12 from the Formula 1 car. So this V12 was developed off a Formula 1 car. It just, to me, looks amazing, and it's got this little party piece, a removable roof. You can either have the fixed hard top installed or a sort of temporary soft top that you can just take off and stow away, or you can drive it open, as we're going to. And in Giallo Modena, the yellow paintwork, to me, it's just stunning. Built from 1995 to 1997. This is next, the Ferrari F50. Starting the F50 then, key in, digital display lights up, which is quite cool, and we fire it up. That's actually really nice. Okay, F50 time. This time we are really in a race car, 4-point harness. We've got a normal gearbox, 6-speed gearbox that goes forward for first gear this time. Handbrake off, and away we go. And I've been told you have to rev this one to get it to sound monumentally awesome, so maybe we will have to do that. Just take it easy as we head out. From the word go, I love this. It feels, well, I guess significantly more modern, but everything is very connected. Gear stick's a bit easier, there's a lot more throttle response and immediate brake response as well. Obviously we've got the roof off, which means noise, so if I flip it down and let it go ever so slightly, gives us a taster of what's to come, but this feels really cool right now. Wow! The noise guys. Formula One derived V12 right there. You can hear all of it. I mean, immediately I'm feeling like this is my favourite to drive. This is everything. Enjoying flipping up and down and going through gears just because it's amazing. When you let the revs rise, it just screams at you. Just, what? It's mega. If you ever wanted to see what I look like when I'm happy, it's this right now, driving the F50, which I just feel like, to me, this was my total dream, this car, and it's lived up to expectations in every possible way. This is utterly amazing. The F40, brilliant, and I can see why so many people like it, but for me it's F50, and I haven't yet driven the Enzo. I think I found my new dream car in the form of the F50. What a truly breathtaking driving experience. Just a pure smile on my face the whole way through that. And look at the thing, I'm just going to show you a couple more things. These scoops in the front bonnet where you've got the fans for the radiator here that pull the air out and over the car. Then I want to show you the rear view mirror too. If I put my camera roughly in a sort of position where your head is, you can see the shape of it is just cool. You can see backwards between the two roll hoops over the rear deck lid and under the rear wing, much like the F40 as well. But everything about this car to me just screams perfection, with a Ferrari V12 as well. The looks of it just sort of smoothed and rounded out over the F40 and the drive. Wow, just wow. But now it's time to move on to this chap, the Enzo, named after the founder of Ferrari himself, Enzo Ferrari. 6-litre V12 in here, 660 horsepower. 2002 to 2004 the Enzo was built, and in total there are 400 of them. Originally it was actually going to be 349 to match the F50. So many customer requests meant that they built another 50 on top of that, and then there was one more built at a slightly later date for the Pope. So 400 in total. It's the first one with doors that open like this, upwards. Quite significantly more modern than the other cars. No manual gearbox, it's got a 6-speed sequential automatic, but it's, to many, a very iconic Ferrari. So, the Enzo. Let's add this one to the list too, because driving that lot in one day wasn't enough. It's Enzo time. Starting the Enzo then, the key is here. Turn on the ignition, open the exhaust valve, obviously, for extra volume, and the start button is there on the center control panel. Let's go. Now that's a beast, and I love this digital display here at the left-hand side as well. You can see how the modern Ferraris have got that. We pull the door down gently so it doesn't bang. We'll get ready to go. All the carbon fibre now glossy. This is Enzo time. The Enzo then, and this is the car that quite literally bears the name of Mr. Ferrari himself, so it should have been the Ferrari. We do of course now have the La Ferrari, which quite literally translates to the Ferrari, but this thing, from the word go, is by far the most menacing. The sound of it, just pootling along right now, the noise with the bypass valve is breathtaking. It just feels like it's ready to unleash. Of course, it's the most powerful. We've got the paddle shift gearbox, the first car I've driven today with paddles. It's the sequential automated gearbox, so it's not quite the same as driving a full sort of double clutch, obviously the modern system. You have to fluctuate the throttle slightly. It's just the computer slotting the gear in instead of yourself. But we've got buttons on the steering wheel, the indicators, race mode and other sort of settings around the base of it. This thing is ready to go and unleash, and wow, the power, it just is there from the word go. It's a naturally aspirated engine, of course, well, like the F50 before, but this is an Enzo. This is the Enzo Ferrari. This feels exceptionally cool, just driving along in this car. I'm going to press the race mode button once, which makes the gear shifts a little bit quicker. You can hear from the word go that they are. It just feels like a fighter jet or something waiting to take off. You're in this quite small canopy all around. Got to deal with the indicators on the steering wheel, of course, something I'm familiar with from the modern Ferraris. But yeah, woo-hoo. It's just... it's mega. I have no idea which I prefer of Enzo or F50 right now. Completely like different experiences, even though they're both sort of V12s. This is... okay. This has been quite a long afternoon. Obviously, I'm not necessarily driving these cars in the best possible place to be testing them and shooting a video, but the opportunity to come to Rosso Corsa and catch up with Greg and drive the cars is just something else. One of the best days of my life, I think, doing this. Wow. Just driving this car now, caps off. I mean, driving the Enzo normally would be a pretty mega experience, but driving it at the end of a day when you've driven all the others, wow, through the tunnel, this is just topping off a day of dreams. 4 of the Ferrari 5, the 4 I had never driven. Goodness me. I spot the car behind taking photos. I just really wish at this moment that this day does not have to come to an end. I just want to get back in the 288 and then the F40 and then the F50 and then this and then maybe a LaFerrari and just drive them all back to back to take it all in a little bit more, because this has been such a sort of quick way of doing it that there's so little by way of experience you can really take in. Just kind of first glances, first impressions, and a little sort of baby understanding of what they're all about. I think the F50 and the Enzo is where I'm going to have to choose between when I hop out in a moment and decide which is my favourite of today, but this is a pretty darn good way to end with the Ferrari Enzo. The other cars have all been put away, so I'll just park up the Enzo here and have a kind of final reflection on today. And to do so, that means I need reverse, which is here on the steering wheel. How confusing. There we go. Then you can pull both pedals into neutral. What a sound. Right, back into first, engine off. Today has been monumentous. I'm kind of waiting for the moment that I'm about to pinch myself, wake up and realise this was a dream. Driving those 4 cars, each for the first time. I cannot say thanks enough to Greg for this opportunity. Please do go check out his Instagram page and give him a follow, because my word, I don't know if I'll ever beat this. These were 4 cars that I wanted to drive, and it's been one after the other, after the other, after the other, and I still haven't yet sort of wrapped up my thoughts on actually driving them. My short list of cars I'd love to be behind the wheel of now has basically just gone to this, which is the McLaren F1. Maybe that will happen at some point, but for now, these cars, I mean, 288, the turbo, the way it spools up and then hits you in the back, you can feel that like crazy. The F40, a little bit of the same, but slightly less, a more refined drive, more together. But to me, the F50, adding in the V12, took that further. The naturally aspirated V12 with the 6-speed manual box, the F50 was just an absolute dream. This thing felt like a race car. This felt like an actual sort of sequential race car. The noises, the tub, you just hear everything in there. I'm gonna give my favorite to the F50. It's the quirky one, the one that I think most people wouldn't choose, but I think I had the biggest smile on my face driving it. It was the one that really got me going, this is epic. Enzo a close second, then the 40, then the 288, which for me was just not quite there. But obviously with these cars, it's a lot to do with how each specific one is. They can be quite different. But my word, I don't really know what to say. This has been epic. I hope you've enjoyed watching me giggle and enjoy the experience in some form, because I can't beat it. I feel like maybe I should just pack up now and never make another YouTube video again, because what else could I do that possibly comes close to driving the 4 Ferrari hypercars back to back to back to back, as well as my experience of the LaFerrari, which, by the way, I'll put a link to so you can check that out if you haven't already. I did a pretty nice video, I think, with that, driving it on some open roads in Oman. But my word, this has been mega. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Thank you again to Greg and the guys here at Rosso Corsa for sorting everything out today, for this opportunity to drive these incredible cars. That's it for now, though. I'll catch up with you again very soon. Make sure you're subscribed for plenty more, hopefully pretty epic content. Thanks, guys. Cheers.